What is going on, guys, and welcome back to Touchdowns to Home Runs. My name's Bernie. Thank you for joining us today on the Touchdowns to Home Runs show, the March Madness edition. Hope that your day is going absolutely fantastic. We've officially completed the first two rounds of this year's March Madness tournament, which means that starting on Friday and then also on Saturday, we're going to be starting the Sweet 16. A ton of upsets already this year. Super exciting tournament. So I'm really excited. Now, I know that everybody's bracket is already extremely busted, including mine. But ESPN does give you a second chance to fill out a bracket from the Sweet 16 here on out. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be filling out the second chance bracket, breaking all the picks down, also giving you my predictions. So the first matchup that we have is, of course, the number 1 seed Gonzaga Bulldogs versus the number 5 seed Creighton Blue Jays. Gonzaga's coming off a big win against the Oklahoma Sooners, and I think that was a really impressive game. You know what? I wasn't fully bought into Gonzaga coming into this tournament just because they play in the West Coast Conference, but their 4 double-digit scores are completely legit, and no matter who Gonzaga plays, they're bound to put up 80 points against you. Now, Oklahoma actually played fairly well offensively, but again, for Creighton to win this game, they're going to have to just play so unbelievably fantastic on offense. Now, Creighton has Marcus Zagorowski, obviously, one of the more talented guards in the country. Bishop also has been pretty solid this tournament so far. But Creighton, I just don't think has the offensive firepower to hang anywhere with Gonzaga. And we also know, I've been saying this the entire tournament, that Creighton's downfall is teams that have the advantage and a large advantage over them, especially inside. Gonzaga has that with Drew Timme, so I think this one is going to be all Gonzaga. Next up, we got Oregon versus USC, and two teams that are very hot right now. We have USC coming off that monster victory against the Kansas Jayhawks, and then we have the Oregon Ducks, number 7 seed, coming off also a very big win against Luka Garza and those Iowa Hawkeyes. You look at both teams, and you have some real firepower here. Now, obviously, Oregon didn't play against VCU, and I would have loved to see them against Bones. But you have some real firepower on both sides. What's really impressive, though, about USC is Evan Mobley. Obviously projected to go number 2 this year in the NBA draft, but he wasn't even close to the best player against the Kansas Jayhawks. Even his brother, Isaiah Mobley, they're just so deep. They got a ton of height. I like them coming into this tournament, and I think this one's going to be a really interesting one. Also, this is a matchup between two Pac-12 teams who have been sensational so far in this year's March Madness. But because of the Mobleys, who I really like, I just think they got, some really good size in comparison to Oregon, who's more led by their guards. It's going to be a close one, but give me USC. They just look too good against Kansas. Next up, we got my Michigan Wolverines against number 4 Florida State Seminoles, and I actually picked LSU over Michigan, surprisingly, in my own bracket, but Michigan showed some real potential, I think, with no Isaiah Livers over there, but they're such a well-coached team, and they're great at shooting the 3-ball with or without Livers. They're really solid defensively and a lot more physical than a lot of these teams that they're going to be playing in the tournament. Obviously, Florida State has a lot of talent. They're really balanced, good on both sides of the ball, had some good wins already in this tournament, including the big win against Colorado in order to get to the Sweet 16. But you look at Michigan, led by Hunter Dickinson, Mike Smith, Franz Wagner, they're so deep, but I'm still worried about how out of sync Michigan can look sometimes offensively and defensively. I'm really 50-50 on this. I'm cheering for Michigan for the rest of the tournament, and I still think I would take the Michigan Wolverines here. 11 UCLA versus 2 Alabama. UCLA obviously had to play in the play-in game against the Michigan State Spartans to get here, but some really good wins obviously against BYU and Abilene Christian in order to get this matchup against Alabama. But Alabama, some big wins as well. Rick Pitino and Iona over there, and then a big win against Maryland yesterday at the time of me filming this video. You look at Alabama, they're having the best players on the court. Shackelford is absolutely phenomenal, and I really like that Alabama plays on both sides of the ball. They're a great offensive team. They're also a great offensive team. They're a great offensive team, also a great defensive team. And played really well in the SEC this year for a reason. Obviously, Ju Zhang, the guard, 15.1 points per game, shoots the basketball very well. I just think this is where UCLA ends. Alabama is just too good, I think, for UCLA. So I'm taking Alabama here. Let's move on to the other side. We got Baylor versus Villanova. Now, Villanova, with no Colin Gillespie, has still looked very good so far. Beat Winthrop, beat North Texas, both without any real problems. And what I really like about Villanova is their ability to play systemless basketball. And obviously they got a great coach in Jay Wright. But you watch Baylor and what they did against Wisconsin. Wisconsin, a team who was so hot shooting their basketball in the first game. But Baylor showed you that they're an even hotter team. Baylor was so good shooting the basketball in that game, led by Jared Butler. You got Mitchell Maceo Teague as well over there, and they were just so fantastic. I really don't see myself picking against Baylor in this matchup. Arkansas versus Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts had such a great game against Florida and have had some great games in order to get to this stage. By beating, obviously, Florida, beating that big one against Ohio State. But you look at Arkansas, some great games against Texas Tech, Colgate as well. What I didn't like about this Texas Tech game is that they should have lost that game. Texas Tech missed so many layups in order to seal that deal. Max A. Smith, best scorer in Division I basketball for a reason. But don't forget about O'Banner over there. They're big men who can rebound. Also puts up a ton of points, or has put up a ton of points so far in this tournament. Oral Roberts is going to be the favorite. Arkansas is going to be the huge favorite. But Oral Roberts is the Cinderella team this year. Give me Oral Roberts. Loyola Chicago versus Oregon State. Two teams that are very hot right now. And Oregon State was a bid stealer, but don't count them out of this game. Loyola Chicago, though, one of the best defensive teams in the country in terms of defensive efficiency. Obviously, Sister Jean over there is such a great story. They got the experience being in the Final Four a couple of years ago. But Krutwig over there is so fantastic. But it's really the defense here. I think Oregon State, being a bid stealer, making it to the Sweet 16 is so fantastic. But coming off the caliber of win that they had against Illinois, give me Loyola Chicago here. And then Syracuse, Houston. I really love this Syracuse team. Jim Boeheim and Buddy Boeheim, so fantastic. And Buddy Boeheim, the way he can shoot the basketball and the way that he's improved from last year and his ability now to create his own shots is just so impressive. Quentin Grimes over there for Houston, also a very talented player. Houston should have lost that game to Rutgers. I like the way Syracuse plays. I think they can outshoot almost anybody in the country from what I've seen so far. I've watched their last couple of games. I watched their game against Virginia in the conference tournament, watched their game against West Virginia, a team who had really good talented guards, and that really impressive win against San Diego State as well. So I'm taking another upset here, and I am taking Syracuse. Going back, we got Gonzaga and USC. You know what? I've said this before. If any team beats Gonzaga on the left side of the bracket, it was going to be USC or Texas. Obviously, Texas is out now, but I love USC's height. I just don't know how much, if USC can score to the degree that Gonzaga scores the basketball. They look so good right now, but give me USC with that upset. Michigan, I still don't know if they're having Isaiah Livers in this game. From what I've heard, Isaiah Livers probably will be missing the entire tournament. Alabama's good on both sides of the basketball, and Michigan is too out of sync from what I've seen so far in the past few games, dating back to that conference tournament without Isaiah Livers. Alabama will make you pay, whether that's offensively or defensively, so I'm taking Alabama here. Oral Roberts' run unfortunately ends here. You're talking about two really good scores for Oral Roberts, but Baylor has like four really good scorers. They're a great team on both sides of the basketball. They're a top 10 team in both adjusted offense and adjusted defense, so I'm taking Baylor here. Loyola Chicago versus Syracuse will be a matchup of the offense versus a matchup of the defense. I really like Syracuse though. But Loyola Chicago, I think they're really hot. I think they're another Cinderella story. I would probably lean taking Loyola Chicago here. Back to the Final Four, USC, Alabama. I'm really high on what I've seen from Alabama as of late. I really like that they, again, are on both sides of the basketball. Love Shackelford over there. And unfortunately, I think the Mobley's run ends here. So give me Alabama. And then you got Baylor versus Loyola Chicago. Another matchup of offense versus defense, but unlike Syracuse, Baylor is a better offensive team than Syracuse, and instead of just having one really good scorer, you again got 4 or 5 really good scorers. And Loyola Chicago, although they're really good in terms of adjusted defense, so are the Baylor Bears, so give me Baylor. And then you got Baylor versus Alabama. I really like Baylor, I think, to take home the national championship. The Big 12 has not been sensational so far in this tournament, but Baylor is legit. They've had some big wins all season long, and I think they got the job done here against Alabama. But anyways, guys, if you did make it to this point in the video, let me know your thoughts on my predictions down in the comment section below. Had to throw in a few upsets in there, but let me know what you guys think. If you guys did enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe to Touchdowns to Home Runs for more content just like this. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and hope to see you again next time.